Welcome back to Gallery Gaming. Today, we're going to cover some of the fun and frustrating Tier 3 Abyss dungeons. Frustrating solely for running into players, be they friends or randoms from the queue, that don't know what they're doing. They are honestly fairly easy to complete, especially if you have any idea of what to do. So, for those of you who don't, I'll be going over how to get this done pretty simply today. So drop a like if this helps, leave a comment with any suggestions or questions on it, and share this to players who you think might need the help if you happen to already know how to do this. So let's get right into it and jump straight to the first boss. Now, the first boss is a fairly straightforward, old school tank and spank boss with one exception. He's very easy to stagger, which would normally be a good thing, only this boss gets stronger when you stagger him. He gains a buff each time you stagger him down. At 3 staggers, he gets a massive damage buff, and can become really painful, especially in hard mode where one positioning mistake can be the difference between finishing off the fight and being that lovely floor mat that nobody likes to be. Now, this lovely buff he gets is actually a bit of a pain to strip away. He will do a 4-point smash where he swings his mace in the 4 cardinal directions, front, back, left, right, and then slam the ground right in front of him with a big circle AoE. Now, the second time that he does this mechanic, he will grab in front of him, and your goal is to be right there in front of him when he grabs to get picked up. This will trigger a very easy stagger check for him that once you complete, will strip away a stage of his buff. Personally, I've had somebody complete it solo with me being grabbed and vice versa. So it's really a very simple stagger check. Doesn't require grenades. Just hit him with your skills that have stagger on them. It doesn't take much. Once you get him staggered, he'll fall down. He'll lose a buff stage on there, and you'll have an easier time going forward. Now, this mechanic, although it can be ignored if you are overpowered, but it does make it harder to complete this boss if you don't at least get one strip done during the fight. Now, personally, I've finished off the last half of this fight a couple of times on my own as a sorc, so it doesn't need to be done, but I do suggest doing it just to start understanding the mechanics and make it a lot easier on yourself. So, now that we've gone over this boss, which is very simple, avoid his AoEs, avoid his swings. When he starts spinning, get back from him. Don't stand in red when he goes to charge. Avoid or interrupt because it is an interruptible move. Not too bad. Very easy, straightforward fight. Only real mechanic that is difficult to pull off is getting grabbed after the smash. Now, let's get on to the next boss. Everybody's favorite creepy clown. Now, this boss has a lot of different attack patterns that he does mostly at random, but also some that are phase locked, and there are 3 stages to this boss. First, you start out in the cave. You'll knock him down a few bars real quick and easily. Avoid the red, and you'll be fine for the most part. But you'll also get an intro into his basic attack patterns. Now, for phase 1, there's only really 2 attacks that I'm going to focus on that will come into the next phases as well with you and make an impact or evolve. The first one's going to be the dual blue attack. He will have a circle underneath him and a cone in front of him. These are 2 separate indicators overlaid on top of each other. One will fade out quicker than the other. The one that fades out is the fake out and will not actually go off. So if it's a ring that pops up and then disappears while the cone is still there, no reason to dodge away from him to avoid the circle, whereas you can just keep hitting him. But if the ring stays there, then you might want to back off so you don't get hit. The second one is going to be the one that will evolve in the next stage. This will be the red split cone with boxing gloves. The cone will be split into 3 separate parts, and over these red zones, it will send out boxing gloves that will continue in a line past the end of the red zones. So don't just get to the end of the red and expect to be safe, because the gloves will still continue past the end of the danger zone, and you will still take damage. In the next stages, this will evolve to have teleporting portals after the red zone, that will redirect those gloves back at you from different angles. This mechanic can get extremely frustrating, especially if you dodge out of it and then they come right back at you just as your dodge finishes and you get hit by all three of them. Now, once you've knocked him down a few bars, he'll lay on the ground and spin a hoop around his foot and teleport you into the next zone. This will be a giant rainbow room where he gets to have fun. Now, here he'll use his ball as one of the new mechanics for the fight. He'll either chase you on the ball, which you can just run away from and he'll fall off for some free damage while he's laying on the ground. He'll kick the ball at a player, and the best way to deal with this is to stand near a wall and slowly dodge the balls to where the balls hit the wall. If they don't hit anything, they will ricochet and come back at you and do damage that way as well. Nothing sucks more than getting hit by 3 balls at once, or just taking a good chunk of damage and getting staggered when you're getting hit. The last part of this one is he'll teleport into the middle of the room and stand on top of his ball. In hard mode, there'll be more balls that spawn around the room that will fall and mimic, to an extent, his attacks, as well as having balls just falling on a select player of the group. Now, what happens when he does this is you're going to want to spread out into the 4 cardinal directions of the room and space out from each other, because what you'll get is you'll get basically target icons for circles around you. You'll have a dartboard of damage areas. So the first one will come, you'll take a step out of the inner circle to the inner ring, where you'll have a safe zone. If you stack up more than one person in an area, you'll have overlaying rings of damage, and it can make it extremely difficult to dodge this incoming damage because you have very small spots of safety on it. The only thing that really matters here is just avoid the red and avoid the standard hits. He's got an interruptible multi-punch, but it's a very close range and very fast, so unless you're right in front of him, it's kind of hard to interrupt him. Go ahead and just dodge out of this, knock his damage, knock his health down, get some DPS in. Fairly straightforward. Now, we'll go on to the last phase. This one, he moves you back into the first area of the fight. Now, when you first teleport into the area, he will do an AoE stun around himself. So when you land, get some distance from him so you don't get stunned. This is pretty important because sometimes he'll jump straight into another mechanic. Now, his mechanics will pretty much just stay the same as they were before. He'll still have all the previous mechanics, but there'll be some slight adjustments here and there. Like when he goes to fall on an indicated player, he'll put the circle there, you'll get out of the circle, and the circle will move and readjust onto that person. So just run away from it, wait for the circle to readjust, and then use your dodge to get out of it. That way, you're not getting hit by it. You'll have to be kind of quick and get the timing down, but it's really not that hard. Now, the next one is when you'll get a big heart on your screen. You'll get stunned when the heart happens. You'll only be able to really see your character. And once that fades away, a red circle will appear underneath your feet. The moment that you're unstunned, dodge out of it. Don't take the damage. Pretty simple here, right? Now, we'll get into the last big mechanic that he's got. And this one is the most annoying one, because most of this fight you're going to want to be kind of spread out so that his AoEs that target players don't overlap with somebody else. You don't end up with a big cluster of AoEs anywhere. You keep things nice and simple, and it should be fairly simple, right? But on this stage, he has a mechanic where if you're spread out, it makes it a lot harder and somebody's going to die. He will freeze 3 members of the party, and 1 member will be unfrozen. These freeze ticks on you are amount of hit ticks, so your best way to deal with it is to bring fire grenades and throw fire grenades at as many players as you can. So if you can get it in a group of people, great, but since everybody's going to be spread out, take your pick of who you're going to try to save. Now once you save that person, then the unfroze person will get froze, and this one is going to be a damage freeze, so you're going to have to dish out some actual damage. Grenades won't help here. You want to get over there and blast a couple big skills and you'll unfreeze them and be able to finish the boss off. That is the most difficult part of his mechanic, because where everywhere else you're spread out, this one wants you grouped up. Probably going to lose people. I don't think I've ever seen anybody get through that mechanic without losing a body. You can bypass it if you're strong enough and DPS the boss down fast enough. You won't even get this mechanic to appear. But as the fight goes on, it'll pop up. You'll lose some bodies. You'll have to have 1 or 2 people finishing the boss off. Maybe 3 if you're really lucky and people happen to be grouped together. So that's the only one that really makes it hard. Everything else, it's pretty simple. Tank and spank. Avoid the red. Stay out of stupid. So once you've gotten through all of that, you'll be rewarded with your in-dungeon loot. Now on normal mode, unlike all the previous Abyss dungeons, this one will not give you class-specific engraving accessories. Those will only come when you start doing hard mode and get the legendary accessories. Now, on hard mode, when you're done and you get your first clear rewards from both this one and the second dungeon in this area, highly recommend making your weapon first and then 2 pieces of gear from this set. That way when you go do Argos for your first time, you can get 2 pieces of Argos gear and get the 2-piece set bonus for that for either crit damage or crit chance. Crit chance if you're DPS, crit damage if you're support. And you'll eventually want the full 5 of the Argos, but for now, these are great placeholders to help you get your item level up higher quickly, because you'll get a weapon and 2 pieces of gear. So by the end of the week, you should have 5 legendary pieces of gear at 1370 plus that you can take all the way up to 1385. Thank you for stopping in. Once again, if you liked anything here, want to see more, please hit the subscribe, like, comment, all the standard YouTube stuff. Thank you very much. Have a good day and enjoy whatever world you're jumping into next. Goodbye.